Hello, and welcome to the definitive guide of doing mid dodges for Exaflares in Golden Bahamut. Here we are in Golden Bahamut, and what I'm going to do is try to run you through the thought process that I go through to make pretty consistent Exaflare dodges while trying to maintain as much melee uptime as I possibly can. So, sort of the idea behind the middle dodge is a lot of like spatial prediction, kind of like spatial awareness, kind of picturing your mind positioning of Exaflares as they travel across. So enough words, let's get to an example. The first thing about Exaflares, just like normal, you want to try and find the Exaflares around 70% of the cast bar and start swinging your camera around. And I find that the first Exaflares are here. Now, when I do middle dodge, I usually try to dodge into the first set of Exaflares. This is because if I always dodge into first set, then I don't really need to pay attention to where the second and third Exaflares are. A 3-to-1 works just as well as a 2-to-1, or rather the other way around. A 2-to-1 is pretty consistent with this method as well. So the first thing that I do when I see the first set of Exaflares is I must first picture sort of a row, like a column going across the arena that has the same diameter as the Exaflare circle. So in this case, here's the diameter of the Exaflare circle, and I want to try and, in my mind, draw a line going straight across the arena that has the same diameter as the circle. I then want to pick which side of the line I want to start off. So the reason why I do this is because, I mean, obviously this entire line is going to be struck by Exaflares, and this is sort of like the danger, death column that you don't want to be in. So you want to position yourself just outside of this danger column. Now, because the boss is like over here, I want to actually try to position myself on this area of the danger column here. And this is my initial position from where the dodge happens. Let's go ahead and on here. All right. So another part of what I do to try and make this as consistent as possible is use camera angles to my advantage. So what I try to do here is position my camera so that the Exaflares move horizontally across my screen. All right, so let's go ahead and on this camera angle, draw the death line here. So yeah, I would definitely want to be on this side of the danger column and do my dodge somewhere around here so I can maintain my time. So that's the first step. As you see the Exaflare move to the safe, move out of the way, out of this danger column, but as close to it as you deem safe. Because here's what's going to happen next. The first Exaflare goes off, and what you want to do is try and visualize the position of keep the position of where the first Exaflare happened in your mind. So somewhere around right here. And then when the second set drops, you want to also take this position, and then using the position that you had kept in your mind, try and estimate out the distance between the first set of Exaflare that just gone off to the middle of the second Exaflare that just gone off. Try to keep this distance in mind. And then apply the same distance to essentially predict the position of the next Exaflare. So use the same distance. We're going to draw another line here. And I'm going to predict the Exaflare is going to be somewhere around right here. And it's going to be something like this. Now remember, because you're on the outside of this danger column, this Exaflare will never hit you because you're obviously outside of the max radius of the circle. And now your goal here, let's center this a little better. And now your goal here is to get into position to make the move. So the move to do the middle dodge is to just simply move in a straight line from just outside the danger column into the middle of an Exaflare that just happened. So by predicting the position of this next Exaflare. At this point, I will take my predicted center and draw a line straight down, perpendicular to the sort of danger line here. And then my positioning is going to be just around here. And here's my like target position. Here's where I want to be before this third Exaflare goes off, because being here will allow me to make a very consistent, very easy movement into this Exaflare that will go off right there. So luckily I'm sort of already there. So now at this point, I'm trying to pay attention to when this Exaflare will happen. And as soon as this Exaflare happens, I simply hold W into the middle of this Exaflare, and then there, that's it. You've done the dodge. I'm gonna play this. I know my camera shifts a little bit, so I'll kind of delete that. And as you can see, I'm kind of positioning myself to try and be as safe as, you know, I deem necessary. So just outside of that death line, I predicted that the Exaflare will drop right there, and I was pretty accurate with my prediction. And I'm not paying attention to anything else, by the way. I'm only looking for this specific Exaflare. And at the moment this goes off, that's my cue to move into just the center. Straight line from my starting position to the center of the Exaflare. And just like that, the dodge is done. So next, I'll kind of go over sort of what might happen if you're a little bit off and how to make an adjust to try and like, let's say you're panicking a little. You know, you didn't see the Exaflare as soon as they happen. It's okay. You still have actually a surprising amount of time to still make the dodge happen. So let's go ahead and go to the next set of Exaflares. So 70%, start looking around, and I find, so this one's obviously really, really far. So like, if it's that far, there's usually another one that's much closer. So this one's the closer one. Now, dodging into this one does kind of move you a little way away from the boss, but the starting position is still, you know, in melee range. And what you'll find is that if you do a middle dodge, even into a far Exaflare, Bahamut will be mobile at that point. So you should be able to keep melee uptime, as Bahamut will follow you. That is if you're the main tank. All right, so same idea here. This is the Exaflare row I'm looking at. I'm going to draw the sort of danger line across here and try to get as close to it as I deem safe. Next, the second Exaflare drops. I use the second position and the first position, kind of estimate the distance between these two in order to predict the position of the third Exaflare. And as soon as the third Exaflare goes off, if I find that I'm in a good position to move in, I will make the simple move to move in. Now, this is where I want to go over what happens if you're not in the ideal position. So let's go ahead and draw our danger line again. And of course, this is the Exaflare that just happened. Now let's say, so this is obviously the ideal position you want to be, because then you can just hold W right into the middle. Let's say you're somewhere over here. If you're over here when this Exaflare happened, trying to make this move is very dangerous, because if this were the second set of Exaflares, then you have a very high chance of getting clipped by the second Exaflare that happens here before you even make the move into here. So this is like a late dodge. Really dangerous to be on this side of the Exaflare. Now, if let's say you're panicking and like you find yourself here, the third or second Exaflare happened, what you want to do is run away from the Exaflares. You're pretty much really safe just sticking to this side of the danger line and running away from the Exaflares to kind of buy yourself more time to kind of align yourself properly. If you try to make this move, you might get clipped. So instead, what you do is, let's say the third Exaflare was just happened too fast, you weren't ready. Continue moving away from the Exaflare, and at this point, time your dodge with the fourth Exaflare. Because you've seen the second one, you've seen the third one, you have this predicted distance, make the prediction again, and make this your target position to do the dodge. This also applies if you're too far over on this side. Let's say you're trying to do the third Exaflare dodge, but your position started around here, and you're kind of far from here, so you have to like make like a sort of a diagonal line to the center. This is also very dangerous. You want to try and avoid this as much as possible. Because if you start over here and you make a diagonal movement in, there's a high chance of getting clipped by the fourth Exaflare. See this isn't very accurate, but you might get clipped around here. And we're trying to get this as consistent as possible. So in the case that you're just a little bit too far from your ideal starting position, you want to do the same idea where third Exaflare happened, you're too late, we're in time, move on to the next one. So run away from the Exaflare along your safe line, and then wait until the fourth Exaflare happens and run in. You should have time to outrun the Exaflare if you just continue moving this way. And then let's say like you're just completely out of it and you just want to make sure that you get the as consistent dodge as possible. You can just continue running away until you orient yourself with the kind of position the Exaflares they could move along. And then once you get into an ideal position just below the center point of an Exaflare, move in as soon as it goes off. Let's see this happen. Exaflare goes off and I move right into it. Now, Bahamut was provoked away from me at this point, so it didn't really follow me, but if I had aggro, it would have followed me. Once you make the safe movement, stay still. At this point, with the way I do it, I pretty much don't pay attention to any other Exaflares except for the first set. So it's kind of dangerous to be moving around because at this point, like I will not have a good kind of estimate of where everything else is. All right, so at this point, move on and see the rest of the Exaflares in this fight. I think the next set of Exaflares actually is a 2-to-1 dodge, so it's a good example of how even 2-to-1 dodges are pretty consistent with this method. All right, so they go over here. We're taking a look. We're making this death line still in melee range. See the second Exaflare, predict the position of third, in position, move into third, and the second set of Exaflares goes off just as we move out of the way. So as long as you're on top of moving into the third Exaflare, as you can see, this method is pretty consistent. And we'll fast forward to the last set of Exaflares here. Again, take a look. And I have aggro this time, so you'll see this is a little bit far away, but even making the dodge, Bahamut follows me at this point, so even though I'm away from the center, I still maintain full uptime here. And there you have it. That's the way I've done middle dodge for Exaflares, and it's worked pretty much every single time for me, with those extra adjustments that I've discovered as I was doing this. So yeah, hope that helped, and good luck on the golden chicken nugget.